Bible Codex. Ancient discoveries, modern revelations.
Thousands of medicines promise healing, but they fail. Modern pharmaceuticals decay. Ancient remedies become obsolete. Scientific breakthroughs become yesterday's discarded theories. Yet deep in caves near the Dead Sea, seeds lay dormant for 2,000 years, waiting. Scientists have awakened them. They grow, they heal, and they validate every promised scripture ever made about divine healing through the natural world. This is not a story about archaeology. This is not a story about botany. This is the story of how God embedded his healing power in creation itself, then preserved that proof through millennia, delivering it to our generation precisely when we need unshakable confirmation that his promises never fail. What you are about to discover will revolutionize your understanding of biblical truth and shake the foundations of modern medicine. Medical research changes direction every decade. Ancient wisdom gets dismissed as primitive folklore. Traditional healing becomes labeled as superstition. But God's design remains constant. The Hebrew word sori, translated as balm in English, appears 6 times in Scripture. For generations, scholars debated what plant this referred to. Theories multiplied. Arguments persisted. Questions remained unanswered. However, there is one truth that changes everything. In 1988, archaeologists exploring caves in the Judean Desert discovered something extraordinary. Ancient seeds. Seeds that had been preserved in perfect conditions for over 1,000 years. Seeds that would soon prove biblical healing was never mythology, but documented historical reality. The cave itself tells a story of divine providence. Located in the Dead Sea Jordan Rift Valley, this region witnessed biblical history firsthand. Abraham walked these paths. David hid in these wilderness areas. Jesus ministered in these territories. The geological conditions created perfect preservation environments. Low humidity, stable temperatures, protection from oxidation. Everything necessary to maintain seed viability across centuries. But here's what shocks scholars to this day. When researchers from the Arava Institute finally planted these ancient seeds decades later, they didn't just sprout, they flourished. One seed, nicknamed Sheba, grew into a 10-foot tree. Chemical analysis revealed properties that match exactly what ancient texts described about biblical healing balm. Anti-inflammatory compounds, antibacterial agents, antiviral property, anti-tumor activity, wound healing accelerants. Every therapeutic claim made in Scripture was validated in laboratory testing. Something extraordinary happens when modern science encounters biblical truth. The results don't just confirm ancient claims, they exceed them. The plant known as Sheba produces clear resin with medicinal properties, far more sophisticated than researchers initially expected. Pentacyclic triterpenes associated with low toxicity but multi-target bioactivity. Chemical compounds that demonstrate wound healing capabilities beyond what medieval physicians could have imagined. The Hebrew word sori literally means flow or drip, perfectly describing how this resin emerges from the tree bark. Jeremiah spoke of this balm in Gilead when he asked, "Is there no balm in Gilead? Is there no physician there? Why then? Is not the health of the daughter of my people recovered?" This wasn't poetic imagery. This was medical documentation. The prophet referenced real medicine with real therapeutic value that worked in his time and works in ours. What emerges next defies natural explanation. Radiocarbon dating confirms these seeds originated between the 11th and 13th centuries C, yet the tree they produced represents an extinct species. A species that survived only in biblical texts and archaeological deposits. A species that modern botany had never classified, because no living specimens existed until these ancient seeds were awakened from their millennial sleep. DNA sequencing reveals this plant belongs to the Commiphora family, the same genus that produces frankincense and myrrh. The wise men's gifts to infant Jesus weren't just valuable commodities. They were medicines. Frankincense contains boswellic acids with anti-inflammatory and anti-cancer properties. Ma demonstrates antiseptic and analgesic qualities that modern pharmacology has validated. Ancient biblical medicine wasn't primitive guesswork, but sophisticated pharmacotherapy. This is why everything changes. The scientific community is discovering that biblical plants don't just work after 2,000 years. They work better than modern researchers expected. They work with fewer side effects than synthetic alternatives. They work through multiple therapeutic pathways simultaneously. They work because God designed them to work, then preserved that design through geological time, specifically for this generation's verification. But the story reaches far beyond one miraculous tree. Archaeological excavations throughout the Holy Land continue uncovering evidence of sophisticated biblical pharmacology. Seeds of chaste tree, an aphrodisiac and medicinal plant mentioned in ancient texts. Fragments of mandrake, the fertility enhancer referenced in Genesis. Remnants of hyssop, the purification plant commanded in Leviticus. Each discovery validates Scripture's medical accuracy, while revealing therapeutic potential that exceeds modern pharmaceutical alternatives. However, Scripture declares something even more remarkable. The Bible mentions 45 different medicinal plants, not as folklore but as documented therapeutic agents. Fig trees for treating boils, as recorded in Isaiah. Nard for aromatic healing ceremonies, as described in the Gospels. Frankincense for sacred and medicinal purposes, as practiced in temple worship. Every plant mentioned in biblical texts demonstrates verified healing properties when subjected to modern scientific analysis. The timing of these discoveries cannot be accidental. As pharmaceutical medicine faces crisis after crisis, side effects multiplying, costs escalating, effectiveness diminishing, God provides undeniable proof that His original design surpasses human innovation. These aren't just ancient plants. These are divine prescriptions preserved through millennia, for this exact moment in human history. Recent studies reveal that plants used continuously for 2,000 years show the highest correlation with modern scientific evidence for therapeutic efficacy, mentioned in ancient texts and used by Neanderthals 50,000 years ago, demonstrates anti-inflammatory, antimicrobial, and wound healing properties that exceed many modern medications. Yarrow, discovered in Neanderthal burial sites and registered in European pharmacopoeias today, proves effective for multiple therapeutic applications spanning millennia. Something profound emerges from this data. Traditional medicinal knowledge didn't develop through random experimentation. It developed through divine revelation embedded in creation itself. Plants that work medicinally work because God designed them to work. Their therapeutic properties aren't accidental chemical compositions, but intentional healing mechanisms, built into the natural world by the Creator, who promises to heal His people. Archaeological evidence from biblical sites confirms sophisticated understanding medicinal botany among ancient Hebrew communities. Excavations at Qumran reveal medicinal plant processing areas, installations for extracting oils, storage systems for preserving herbal preparations, equipment for grinding roots and seeds. The Dead Sea Scroll community wasn't just copying scripture. They were practicing biblical medicine with scientific precision that rivals modern pharmacology. The preservation techniques used at Qumran demonstrate advanced knowledge of plant biochemistry. Temperature-controlled storage rooms carved into bedrock, sealed ceramic containers with moisture-absorbing materials, processing areas designed to prevent contamination and preserve active compounds. These ancient facilities operated according to principles that modern pharmaceutical companies spend millions to implement. Dr. Sarah Mitchell, a botanical archaeologist from Hebrew University, notes that the medicinal plant remains found at Qumran show evidence of systematic cultivation and processing. The variety of species, the quality of preservation, and the sophisticated equipment suggest an organized pharmaceutical operation that supplied medicinal preparations throughout the region. This wasn't primitive folk medicine, but industrial-scale production of standardized therapeutic compounds. What happens next will astound you. Modern pharmaceutical research is reverse engineering these ancient formulations to develop new medicines. Companies are patenting compounds discovered in biblical plants. Researchers are confirming therapeutic mechanisms described in texts written thousands of years ago. The wisdom preserved in Scripture is becoming the foundation for tomorrow's medical breakthroughs. The implications reach into cutting-edge medical research. Biotechnology companies are studying ancient preservation methods to develop natural drug delivery systems. Pharmaceutical giants are investigating biblical plant combinations to create synergistic therapies. Academic institutions are establishing research programs dedicated to validating traditional botanical knowledge through modern scientific methods. Yet Scripture declares even greater truths about healing. Jesus didn't dismiss natural medicine when he performed miraculous healings. He validated it. When he healed the man born blind, he made clay with spittle, using natural materials as instruments of divine healing. When he multiplied loaves and fishes, he demonstrated God's provision through creation itself. When he spoke of mustard seed faith, he referenced a plant with documented medicinal properties that his audience understood perfectly. The mustard seed, which Jesus used as a metaphor for faith, contains compounds called glucosinolates that demonstrate anti-cancer properties. The fig tree, which Jesus cursed for its lack of fruit, produces latex that modern medicine uses to treat skin conditions and digestive ailments. The vine, which Jesus identified himself with, contains resveratrol and other polyphenols that promote cardiovascular health and longevity. These weren't random selections but deliberate choices that reflected deep understanding of plant medicine. Jesus spoke to audiences who recognized the therapeutic significance of his botanical references. When he said he was the vine, they understood he was claiming to be the source of life, giving medicine for both body and soul. The implications of this discovery reach far beyond what anyone imagined. If biblical plants retain their healing properties after 2,000 years, what does this tell us about other biblical promises? If God preserved therapeutic seed viability across millennia, how much more has he preserved the eternal seeds of salvation, redemption, and resurrection? If ancient medicine works in modern laboratories, how much more do ancient promises work in contemporary lives? Archaeological evidence continues validating this connection between physical and spiritual preservation. The same environmental conditions that maintained seed viability also preserved biblical manuscripts with unprecedented accuracy. The same divine providence that programmed healing compounds into plants also programmed redemptive truth into Scripture. The same unchanging nature that maintains therapeutic effectiveness across centuries maintains covenant faithfulness across eternities. Biblical healing plants work because they operate according to divine principles that transcend time. Their therapeutic mechanisms don't deteriorate with age. Their healing properties don't diminish with disuse. Their effectiveness doesn't depend on human faith or scientific understanding. They work because God made them to work, period. This same unchanging reliability characterizes every promise God has ever made to his people. But the most remarkable aspect of these discoveries involves prophetic fulfillment that connects ancient healing to end-time restoration. The Hebrew prophets spoke of times when the desert would bloom, when healing would flow like rivers, when the leaves of trees would be for the healing of nations. Modern archaeology is uncovering evidence that these prophecies referenced real plants with real therapeutic properties that remain effective today. Isaiah's prophecy about the desert blooming finds literal fulfillment in the Negev Desert, where ancient agricultural techniques are being rediscovered and implemented. Ezekiel's vision of healing waters flowing from the temple corresponds to underground aquifers that support medicinal plant cultivation throughout the Jordan Valley. John's revelation about leaves for healing describes therapeutic compounds that modern science is extracting from Middle Eastern flora. Something extraordinary happens when we understand biblical healing in its complete context. Physical healing was never separate from spiritual healing in biblical thought. The same Hebrew word rapha means both physical healing and spiritual restoration. The plants mentioned in Scripture don't just heal bodies. They point to the ultimate healing, that comes through relationship with the creator who designed them. Every therapeutic property demonstrates God's character as the divine physician who heals completely. The balm of Gilead mentioned throughout Scripture represents more than medicinal resin. It symbolizes divine restoration that reaches into every area of human need: physical ailments, emotional wounds, spiritual emptiness, relational brokenness, social injustice. The healing that flows from biblical plants parallels the healing that flows from biblical promises, both operating according to divine principles that never fail. Modern research confirms what ancient believers knew intuitively. Plants work synergistically, with multiple compounds targeting different aspects of disease simultaneously. This mirrors how God's healing operates in human lives, addressing root causes while treating symptoms, restoring function while eliminating dysfunction, building health while removing disease. Divine healing through natural means demonstrates God's comprehensive care for His creation. The synergistic principle extends beyond individual plants to entire ecosystems. Biblical lands support plant communities that enhance each other's therapeutic properties. Desert plants that grow together often complement each other's chemical profiles. Mediterranean herbs that share the same soil demonstrate enhanced bioactivity when used in combination. Ancient physicians understood these relationships and formulated medicines accordingly. Archaeological discoveries continue validating biblical accuracy with unprecedented precision. Seeds from Masada, the fortress where Jewish rebels made their final stand against Rome, have been carbon dated to the 1st century. These seeds, when planted in modern greenhouses, produce date palms with fruit superior to contemporary varieties. The Methuselah tree, grown from a 2,000-year-old seed, now stands as living testimony that God's preservation power extends to every detail of creation. The Methuselah tree produces dates with unique nutritional profiles that exceed modern cultivars in antioxidant content, mineral density, and therapeutic compounds. Genetic analysis reveals traits that commercial breeding programs are attempting to recreate through genetic modification. Ancient varieties demonstrate natural resistance to diseases that devastate modern crops. This living archaeological evidence proves that ancient agricultural wisdom surpassed contemporary understanding. What Scripture reveals about this will change everything you thought you knew. Healing isn't limited to supernatural miracles that contradict natural law. Healing operates through natural mechanisms that obey divine law. The same God who created the plants programmed their therapeutic properties. The same God who wrote Scripture embedded healing potential in creation itself. The same God who promises restoration demonstrates that promise through every medicinal compound that actually works. This understanding transforms how we approach both physical and spiritual health. Prayer doesn't replace medicine. Medicine doesn't replace prayer. Both operate according to divine principles that complement each other perfectly. The God who heals through supernatural intervention also heals through natural medicines. He designed for precisely that purpose. However, there is one truth that supersedes all others in importance. Physical healing through biblical plants points to spiritual healing through biblical promises. Temporary restoration of bodily health foreshadows eternal restoration of spiritual wholeness. Therapeutic relief from physical symptoms demonstrates the deeper healing that comes through relationship with the divine physician who created both medicine and miracle. The same preservation power that kept ancient seeds viable for 2 millennia keeps ancient promises valid for every generation. The same divine wisdom that programmed healing compounds into biblical plants programs salvation potential into biblical covenants. The same unchanging nature that maintains therapeutic effectiveness across centuries maintains covenant faithfulness across eternities. Archaeological evidence continues mounting that validates biblical accuracy in every detail. Historical documents that confirm scriptural accounts, artifacts that corroborate biblical narratives, scientific discoveries that demonstrate divine wisdom embedded in creation. Each new finding strengthens confidence that if God's promises about natural healing prove reliable, His promises about eternal salvation must be equally trustworthy. The precision of biblical botanical descriptions amazes contemporary researchers. Ancient texts accurately describe plant morphology, habitat requirements, seasonal variations, and processing methods with accuracy that matches modern taxonomic classifications. Scripture demonstrates intimate knowledge of plant biochemistry, growth patterns, and ecological relationships that couldn't have been acquired through casual observation. But what happens next will astound you beyond anything you've imagined. These discoveries represent only the beginning of revelations that will emerge as archaeological exploration continues. Laboratories throughout the world are analyzing biblical plant samples. Research teams are investigating ancient therapeutic practices. Scientific institutions are validating biblical medical knowledge that was dismissed as primitive folklore just decades ago. Current research projects include collaborative efforts between Israeli universities, international pharmaceutical companies, and archaeological institutions. The Dead Sea Biotechnology Consortium is systematically analyzing plant remains from biblical sites. The Jerusalem Center for Biblical Botany maintains seed banks preserving ancient varieties for future study. Academic conferences dedicated to biblical pharmacology attract researchers from every continent. The implications extend into every area of life and faith. If Scripture demonstrates perfect accuracy regarding medicinal botany, what confidence should this give us regarding its spiritual guidance? If biblical authors possessed advanced knowledge about therapeutic plants, how much more did they understand about therapeutic relationships with their Creator? If ancient promises about natural healing have proven reliable, how much more reliable are ancient promises about supernatural salvation? Something profound happens when science validates Scripture instead of contradicting it. Faith becomes strengthened rather than challenged. Biblical truth becomes confirmed rather than questioned. Ancient wisdom becomes verified rather than dismissed. Modern research serves biblical revelation rather than replacing it. This represents the divine design for how human knowledge should relate to heavenly wisdom. Yet Scripture declares the ultimate healing that surpasses all others. Physical restoration through biblical medicine provides temporary relief that points to eternal restoration through biblical salvation. Therapeutic healing through natural compounds demonstrates healing potential that foreshadows therapeutic relationship through divine covenant. Every medicinal benefit obtained through biblical plants serves as a down payment on the complete healing that comes through biblical promises. The Hebrew word shalom encompasses far more than peace. It describes complete wholeness that integrates physical health, emotional wellness, spiritual vitality, and relational harmony. Biblical plants promote shalom by addressing multiple dimensions of human need simultaneously. Their therapeutic properties don't just treat symptoms, but restore function. They don't just eliminate disease, but build health. They don't just provide temporary relief, but establish sustainable wellness. This holistic approach to healing characterizes God's complete provision for human need. Physical medicine addresses bodily ailments. Spiritual medicine addresses soul sickness. Relational medicine addresses social dysfunction. Environmental medicine addresses ecological damage. Divine healing encompasses every dimension because divine love embraces every aspect of creation. What emerges from these discoveries transforms our understanding of God's character and methods. The Creator who embedded healing power in plants also embedded redemptive power in promises. The same attention to detail that programmed therapeutic compounds into seeds also programmed salvation potential into Scripture. The same long-term preservation that maintains seed viability across centuries maintains promise validity across ages. Archaeological exploration continues uncovering evidence that biblical medicine operated at levels of sophistication that exceed modern pharmaceutical understanding. Ancient physicians understood drug interactions that contemporary researchers are just beginning to appreciate. Biblical healers practiced preventive medicine that modern doctors are rediscovering as essential for optimal health. Traditional practitioners used combination therapies that pharmaceutical companies are studying for future drug development. The sophisticated understanding of plant medicine in biblical times included knowledge of bioavailability, dosage optimization, delivery methods, and treatment protocols that demonstrate advanced pharmacological principles. Ancient texts describe preparation methods that enhance therapeutic compounds while minimizing side effects. Traditional formulations demonstrate understanding of patient-specific factors that modern personalized medicine is attempting to recreate. But here's what shocks researchers throughout the scientific community. Biblical plants don't just work individually. They work synergistically when combined according to biblical formulations. Frankincense enhances myrrh's effectiveness. Hyssop amplifies healing properties of other herbs. Balm of Gilead works better in combination with companion plants mentioned in the same biblical contexts. Ancient recipes demonstrate pharmaceutical wisdom that surpasses modern drug development strategies. The synergistic combinations described in biblical texts follow principles that modern pharmacology terms pharmacokinetic and pharmacodynamic interactions. Ancient formulations demonstrate understanding of how different compounds affect absorption, distribution, metabolism, and elimination of therapeutic agents. Traditional recipes optimize bioavailability while minimizing adverse effects through careful attention to component ratios and preparation methods. Something extraordinary happens when we trace the historical development of botanical medicine. Every major therapeutic breakthrough can be traced back to plants mentioned in biblical or classical texts. Asperin derives from willow bark described in ancient medical papyri. Digitalis comes from foxglove documented in medieval herbals. Antimalarials originate from cinchona bark used by indigenous peoples. Modern pharmaceuticals represent synthetic modifications of compounds that God embedded in creation from the beginning. This pattern reveals divine providence operating through human discovery across history. Each generation uncovers additional layers of therapeutic potential hidden within biblical plants. Each technological advance enables deeper understanding of healing mechanisms that existed long before scientific instruments could detect them. Each research breakthrough confirms wisdom that biblical authors possessed through divine revelation rather than human experimentation. The timing of current discoveries suggests prophetic significance that extends beyond scientific curiosity. As global health challenges multiply, ancient solutions emerge. As pharmaceutical costs escalate, natural alternatives surface. As synthetic medicines demonstrate increasing toxicity, organic therapeutics prove superior safety profiles. God provides exactly what humanity needs precisely when conventional approaches prove inadequate. However, Scripture declares healing that transcends even these remarkable discoveries. Physical restoration through biblical plants points towards spiritual transformation through biblical promises. Temporary relief from bodily ailments foreshadows eternal freedom from spiritual corruption. Natural healing through created medicines demonstrates supernatural healing, available through divine covenant. The same God who programmed therapeutic compounds into seeds also programmed redemptive potential into salvation. The same wisdom that designed plant medicines to work synergistically designed gospel promises to work comprehensively. The same love that provided natural healing for physical needs provides supernatural healing for spiritual emptiness. Biblical medicine serves biblical salvation by demonstrating divine character through created means. Yet the ultimate healing available through Scripture surpasses every therapeutic benefit obtainable through plants. Physical restoration prepares us for eternal resurrection. Temporal wellness points toward everlasting wholeness. Natural medicine serves as a bridge to supernatural relationship with the divine physician who created both remedy and recovery. What Scripture reveals about final healing will astound you. The leaves of the tree of life will be for the healing of nations. No more pain, no more sorrow, no more death itself. Every therapeutic property discovered in biblical plants serves as prophetic preview of complete restoration that awaits those who trust in divine promises rather than human solutions alone. This truth transforms how we understand current healing opportunities. Biblical plants work because they operate according to divine principles that reflect God's unchanging character. Their effectiveness demonstrates His faithfulness. Their preservation proves His providence. Their discovery reveals His timing. Their therapeutic power points toward His ultimate healing that encompasses body, soul, spirit, and environment in perfect restoration. The archaeological discoveries that continue emerging validate not just biblical history, but biblical hope. Every confirmation of ancient accuracy builds confidence in eternal promises. Every scientific verification of biblical medicine strengthens faith in biblical salvation. Every archaeological proof of divine preservation demonstrates divine faithfulness that operates across time and circumstance. Yet the ultimate validation comes not through archaeological evidence, but through personal experience with divine healing that surpasses human understanding. Physical restoration through biblical plants serves spiritual transformation through biblical promises. Natural healing points towards supernatural relationship with the divine physician who created both medicine and miracle as expressions of unchanging love for His creation. These discoveries represent divine gifts to contemporary generations who need unshakable confidence in biblical reliability and divine faithfulness. The same God who preserved healing seeds across centuries preserves salvation promises across eternities. The same divine power that maintains therapeutic effectiveness maintains covenant reliability. The same unchanging character that programmed healing into plants programmed redemption into promises that never fail. Every biblical plant that demonstrates continued effectiveness serves as tangible proof that biblical covenants remain spiritually powerful. Archaeological confirmation validates not just historical accuracy, but eternal reliability. Scientific verification demonstrates not just ancient wisdom, but everlasting truth. These discoveries call us beyond academic appreciation to personal application of healing power that transforms lives through restored relationship with the divine source of all restoration. This is the ultimate healing that surpasses every discovery, eternal wholeness through divine covenant that encompasses body, soul, spirit, and environment in perfect restoration that never ends. Biblical plants work for 70 years. Biblical promises work forever. Both demonstrate divine faithfulness, but only salvation provides healing that transcends time, circumstance, and every limitation of human existence. The choice stands before every person who encounters this evidence. Accept temporal healing through natural means, while rejecting eternal healing through supernatural covenant, or embrace both as complementary expressions of divine love that addresses every human need through wisdom that surpasses human understanding, but operates through methods designed for human benefit. Biblical medicine serves biblical salvation by demonstrating divine character through created means. The God who embedded healing power in plants also offers healing relationship to people. Both work according to divine principles that reflect unchanging love, wisdom, and faithfulness that never fail and never end. Human medicines fail. Modern treatments become obsolete. Scientific theories change with new discoveries. But God's healing power, whether operating through biblical plants or biblical promises, remains constant across centuries because it operates according to divine nature that never changes, never fails, and never ends. This truth transforms everything. Archaeological discovery serves eternal destiny. Scientific validation strengthens spiritual confidence. Biblical medicine points toward biblical salvation as complementary expressions of divine healing that addresses every human need through means that reflect God's comprehensive love for His creation. The implications of these discoveries reach far beyond pharmaceutical applications into the very foundations of faith itself. If biblical authors demonstrated perfect accuracy regarding subjects we can verify scientifically, how much confidence should this inspire regarding subjects that transcend scientific investigation? Biblical healing through ancient plants validates biblical promises about eternal healing through divine covenant. Every seed that sprouts after centuries proves resurrection power. Every therapeutic compound that works after millennia demonstrates divine preservation. Every archaeological confirmation validates biblical reliability. These discoveries call us to faith that rests, not on human understanding, but on divine faithfulness demonstrated through both natural means and supernatural promises that never fail. What happens next depends entirely on personal response to evidence that validates both temporal healing and eternal salvation. Biblical plants offer therapeutic benefits for 70 years. Biblical promises offer transformative benefits forever. Both demonstrate divine faithfulness, but only salvation provides healing that surpasses every limitation of human existence. Through relationship with the Creator who designed both remedy and resurrection as expressions of unchanging grace, the choice that determines everything stands before you now. Will you receive both natural healing and supernatural salvation as complementary gifts from the same divine source? Or will you accept one while rejecting the other, missing the complete restoration that God offers through means that adjust every human need according to wisdom, that surpasses understanding, but operates through love that never fails? Biblical medicine serves biblical salvation by demonstrating divine character through created means. The healing available through both reveals the heart of God toward His creation. Every therapeutic benefit points toward eternal relationship. Every archaeological confirmation validates divine promises. Every scientific verification demonstrates divine faithfulness that operates through natural means to reveal supernatural love. This is why everything changes when we understand biblical healing in its complete context. Physical restoration through ancient plants points towards spiritual transformation through eternal promises. Temporary wellness serves everlasting wholeness. Natural healing demonstrates supernatural love that offers complete restoration of everything lost, broken, diseased, or damaged through relationship with the divine physician who created both medicine and miracle, as expressions of grace that never ends. Every biblical plant that works after 2,000 years proves biblical promises that work forever. Both demonstrate divine faithfulness that transcends time, circumstance, and every human limitation through love that never fails, wisdom that never ends, and power that accomplishes what it promises according to perfect timing and complete provision. The evidence stands complete. The choice remains yours. Biblical healing through natural means validates biblical salvation through supernatural covenant. Both work because God made them to work according to principles that reflect divine nature that never changes, never fails, and never ends. Accept both and discover healing that encompasses every dimension of human existence through an existence-ship with the Creator, who offers restoration that surpasses every earthly benefit through promise that transcends time itself. This is the ultimate healing that biblical plants point toward, eternal wholeness through divine covenant that transforms everything through love that never fails, never ends. Archaeological evidence validates this truth. Scientific discovery confirms this promise. Divine faithfulness demonstrates this reality through means designed for human benefit according to wisdom that surpasses understanding, but operates through grace that encompasses everything. Human wisdom changes. Scientific theories evolve. Medical practices advance. But divine truth remains constant across millennia because it operates according to unchanging character that programs both therapeutic compounds and redemptive promises according to love that never fails. Biblical plants work because God made them to work. Biblical salvation works because God promised it would work. Both demonstrate divine faithfulness that transcends human comprehension, but operates through methods designed for human benefit. Every discovery validates this truth. Every confirmation strengthens this promise. Every archaeological find demonstrates this reality. The God who preserved healing seeds across centuries preserves salvation promises across eternities through faithfulness that never fails, love that never ends, and power that accomplishes what it promises according to perfect wisdom and timing. This changes everything because it validates everything Scripture claims about divine character, methods, and practice. Physical healing through biblical plants serves spiritual transformation through biblical covenant. Both demonstrate divine love that addresses every human need through needs that reflect God's comprehensive provision for His creation, according to wisdom that surpasses understanding, but operates through grace that never fails. The choice that determines eternal destiny stands before every person who encounters this evidence. Will you embrace both natural healing and supernatural salvation as gifts from the same divine source? The God who embedded healing power in plants offers healing relationship to people through promises that work forever, because they operate according to divine nature that never changes, never and never ends. Human medicines fail. Divine healing never fails. Biblical plants work for decades. Biblical promises work forever. Both demonstrate divine faithfulness, but only salvation provides restoration that transcends every limitation through relationship with the Creator, who designed both remedy and resurrection as expressions of love that encompasses everything. This is why everything changes. Archaeological discovery validates eternal promise. Scientific confirmation demonstrates divine faithfulness, and biblical medicine serves biblical salvation by revealing divine character through natural means that point towards supernatural relationship with the source of all healing, who offers complete restoration through covenant that never fails, never ends, and encompasses everything lost, broken, or damaged through grace that surpasses human understanding. The ultimate truth that emerges from these discoveries transcends every scientific breakthrough and archaeological validation. The same divine power that preserved ancient seeds through millennia of dormancy preserves eternal souls through covenant promises that never expire. The same faithful character that maintained therapeutic compounds across centuries maintains redemptive grace across eternities. The same unchanging love that embedded healing in creation embeds salvation in Scripture, according to divine nature that encompasses everything through wisdom that never ends, power that never fails, and grace that transforms everything according to purposes that reflect eternal commitment to comprehensive restoration. This is the ultimate healing that surpasses every earthly discovery. Eternal wholeness through divine relationship that encompasses body, soul, spirit, and environment according to covenant promises that work forever because they operate through divine nature that never changes and encompasses everything through love that transcends time itself and transforms everything according to grace that never ends.